You ever stand in front of a crowd that's just waiting for something to explode? That's where I was right there at the Willowbrook Community Center, holding this folder in my hands, palms, a little sweaty, but my voice steady, and let me tell you, I could practically taste the anticipation in the air. Notice of violation case number 4729. Karen Mitchell, president of the Willowbrook Estates HOA, you are hereby fined $10,000 for multiple breaches of municipal code. I said it just like that, and you could have heard a feather hit the floor. Every single person, frozen, all eyes locked on Karen. And you know what? Her face, usually so smug it made you want to punch a wall, just collapsed in on itself. I watched her mouth open and close, honest to God, like a goldfish, because this was the last thing she'd expected. And if you'd told me 3 months ago I'd be the one dropping this bomb, I would have laughed in your face. 3 months back, I was just another guy moving into what I thought was a slice of lakeside heaven, Willowbrook Estates. The realtor made it look like paradise, winding paths, perfect lawns, and that pond right at the center sparkling in the early morning like a promise. For me, fishing's my therapy, you know? So my first morning there, before the moving truck was even gone, I grabbed my old rod, wandered down through the mist, and cast out just as the sun was climbing. Landed 3 big bass that morning, all catch and release, but man, the peace I felt, that's the stuff you can't buy. Neighbors strolled by, some with their dogs, some just waving a few, stopping to chat about the best fishing spots. Felt like I'd lucked into a little corner of Mayberry, at least until that first official letter showed up. It looked serious, thick paper, the kind with a watermark, and there it was stamped with all the weight of the HOA. Dear Mr. Thompson, you are in violation of Willowbrook Estates HOA Covenant Section 47B. Fishing in the community pond is strictly prohibited. You have been assessed a fine of $2,000. Signed by none other than Karen Mitchell herself in blue ink, big as life. I read it 3 times, sure I'd missed something because $2,000 for fishing. That's not a fine, that's a shakedown. So I pulled out every piece of paper from closing, searching for any line about fishing rules, and found nothing, zip zero, nada. The pond was listed as a community amenity open to residents for recreational use. So what the heck was this? I figured I'd just go knock on Karen's door and sort this out neighbor to neighbor. Let me tell you, Karen's house looked exactly how you'd picture. Not a leaf out of place, hedges, trimmed like she used a ruler, and a little sign that said welcome, which is about the funniest thing in hindsight. She answered the door and a blazer, hair yanked back so tight it must have hurt. And before I even got my name out, she's already talking down to me. Mr. Thompson, I've been expecting you. The fine stands. The pond is under HOA protection and fishing disrupts the ecosystem. Take it up with the board if you don't like it. I should have left, but something in me just snapped. Actually, Miss Mitchell, the county records show the pond and a 15-foot perimeter around it are public access. HOA can maintain it, but can't ban fishing. Here's the documentation. Her face went from pink to beet red, and she tried to slam the door, but I kept my foot in the gap. She grabbed my phone, looked at the screen, and basically tossed it back at me. Those records are outdated. We voted to take full control 3 years ago. Pay the fine or it doubles. That's the beauty of being president. So now I'm ticked off. I go back home, and that's when one of the older neighbors, George, sweet old guy, sidles up, looking around like he's afraid Karen will pop out of a bush. You're the new guy who got fined for fishing, huh? Listen, Karen's been doing this for years. Johnson's got hit for their trash cans, Patel's for their kids' sidewalk chalk. Most folks just pay and keep quiet. You ever tried fighting it, I ask. He just shakes his head. Her brother-in-law's a lawyer, board's full of her friends, and she keeps dirt on everybody. Cross her and suddenly your mailbox is the wrong color. Your grass is too high, she'll nickel and dime you until you fold. But rolling over ain't my style. That night I'm on the computer deep diving city code, HOA laws, state statutes, anything I can get my hands on. And let me tell you, once I start looking, I start finding stuff. Old forum threads about Karen being investigated for misusing funds at her last HOA whispers in neighborhood Facebook groups. Even news blurbs about irregularities when she took over Willowbrook. Over the next few days, I turn into a full-blown detective. I get public records from the county, track down ex-board members who, it turns out, have a lot to say off the record, and start piecing together the real story. Karen had basically built herself a little HOA fiefdom, pushed out anyone who challenged her, used funds for business trips that looked suspiciously like vacations, and issued fines left and right to keep folks in line. But the big twist. When I finally get my hands on the meeting minutes for the supposed pond takeover vote, there's no mention of it. That meeting was about lawn maintenance, nothing more. Now I'm ready to go nuclear. I print out everything, put it in folders, and stick copies in every mailbox on the street. Then I file official complaints, city code enforcement, county commissioner, state attorney general, you name it. I lay out every misdeed, every illegal fine, every shady receipt. I don't just want my $2,000 back, I want this whole mess exposed. It all blew up faster than I expected. Within 48 hours, the city code folks call me. They're launching a formal investigation. The county schedules an emergency review. But the real circus starts when Karen shows up at my door at sunrise, pounding hard enough to rattle the glass. You think you're clever, huh? Filing complaints, turning the neighborhood against me? You want a war? You got one. She rants on, threatens to fine me for everything, grass, mailbox, crooked car, says she'll ruin me. I just hit record on my phone and let her talk. That night, the emergency board meeting is standing room only. Words out, folks who've been silent for years are suddenly finding their spines. On the agenda, my fishing violation. But when Karen opens her mouth to start the show, in walks a city code rep, a county official, and plot twist, a detective from the economic crimes unit. Karen tries to bluff, but you can see the fear behind her eyes. She tries to spin it, calls me a troublemaker, accuses me of spreading lies, but before she can ramble too long, the city rep cuts her off. Actually, Miss Mitchell, we're here to discuss complaints against you. Preliminary findings show major irregularities in enforcement and finances. The next hour is pure poetry. They lay out every detail. The pond is public. She had no right to fine anyone. And worst of all, there's over $50,000 of HOA money spent on business expenses that can't be justified. The county guy says all her fines for the past 3 years are invalid. People can get their money back with interest. Karen's scrambling, her excuses unraveling. Those were necessary conferences. The receipts are all HOA business, but the detectives got questions, and suddenly the board, her hand-picked loyalists, are looking for the nearest exit. The mood shifts. For the first time, the whole room's watching her, not with fear, but with something closer to satisfaction. And then, just when she thinks she's got one last play, I'm called up. I walk to the front, folder in hand, and instead of some long speech, I just look at the city rep. I think the city has an announcement to make. That's it. The rep reads the official document. Karen Mitchell is being fined, $10,000 for multiple violations, and a full audit is starting immediately. The place erupts. People are cheering, clapping, some almost in tears. Karen just stands there, gripping the podium, her whole world crumbling in slow motion. You could see the moment she realized it was over. She begged for immunity, said the charter protected her. The detective just shakes his head. Immunity doesn't cover criminal activity. The board votes her out on the spot. As security walks her out, she glances back at me, but all that's left is defeat. The same woman who ruled by fear, gone in less than an hour. Funny thing is, the $10,000 fine, that was just the beginning. The audit found a whole web of fraud, and people are lining up for refunds. Willowbrook finally feels like a real community again, neighbors, talking, laughing, even fishing together at the pond, just like I'd hoped from day one. But you know, there are still folks who think I went too far or worry about what comes next. Without an iron-fisted HOA president running the show, maybe they're right, maybe not. All I know is sometimes you got to stand up even if your knees are shaking. So what do you think? Was I right to blow it all up, or did I just make a bigger mess? Let me know down in the comments. In your neighborhood, is justice about following the rules or knowing when to break them? I'd love to hear your side, because in the end, we're all just trying to find our little corner of peace. You know what I mean?